Hello, I'm Brad Swelling, the VP of Data Analysis with Illinois Farm Business Farm Management Association. We're going to look at the 2021 financial results for Illinois FBFM farms. First, we're going to look at types of assets per acre. We have current, intermediate, and fixed. Current assets would include things such as a bank account, hedging accounts, market animal inventory, as well as ending inventory for grain. Intermediate assets would include the value of machinery, retirement accounts, or breeding livestock. Finally, fixed assets would include things as farmland, buildings, and houses. When we look at this, the total assets, current assets, went up from 1,039 to 1,268%, or a 22% increase. This is primarily due to the increase we saw in prices and yield to make the ending inventory larger. Intermediate assets went up 11%, primarily due to increase in inventory of machinery. And finally, fixed assets went up 10%, primarily due to increase in land values. When we total all these up, we get a total asset per acre of $5,637, which is an increase of 13% from 2020. As you can see, over the last 9 years, we've been about $4,900 to $4,800, and they've increased well over $5,000 for 2021. As we look at this, assets is a big component of net worth, and our net worth increased 15% from 2020, which we went from a number in 2020 increased $487,000 to a high of 2021. The last time we had that large increase from 2011 to 2012, which was $463,000. It's interesting to note, not that long ago, in 2015, we had a net worth decrease from 2014 to 2015 of $46,000. One of the first financial ratios we're going to talk about is current ratios, which is a liquidity measure that compares your current assets to your current liabilities. Current liabilities would be things such as your operating note or the real estate taxes that you pay for next year that were from the prior year. Current ratio in 2020 went up to 3.2 in 2021, back to what it was in 2012 of 3.1. As you can see, we've been fairly close to 2 to 2.3 over the last 10 years. Ideally, we at least want that to be over 1.5. Also, we have the upper quartile, which is the top fourth of the numbers that we have for financials. And you can see we went from 6.2 all the way up to 8.2 in 2021, which is a huge increase. And then we were at 7.2 in 2012. This means that group had 8 times more assets, current assets, than they had from current liabilities. Debt to asset ratio is the next financial ratio we'll look at. Debt to asset tells you how much of your assets are owned by your lender. You can see in this group, we have different age groups, and we look at 2019, 2020, and 2021. For all groups, there was a decrease in the debt to asset ratio from 2020 to 2021 is what we want to see, because the lower the debt to asset ratio, the better. In the less than 30 age group, we went from 53% down to 47%, down to 42%. There's a lot more variability in that group due to most of the assets are current assets, and they have a lot more debt. As you can see, it's close to about 50% of the debt to asset ratios that we have. As you can see, that decreases as the age increases, and that's primarily due to the differences in the farming operations. As you get closer and closer to retirement, more and more debt is retired and more wealth is accumulated. As you can see in this chart that shows a 10-year picture, and then with debt to asset ratio has actually been increasing over the last 6 to 7 years. It leveled off and then started to decrease over the last 2 or 3 years. When we look at this, you might be able to figure out, well, what's my age and where do I fit into this? However, you might also want to think about where you're at in your farming operation. If you're in that 40 to 49 age and you're just getting started into farming, you might have a debt to asset ratio that might be closer to one that's less than 30, because you have the same makeup in a farm balance sheet as those that would be less than 30. As you can see, that less than 30 group is pretty close to debt to asset ratio, about 45%, where the greater than 60 is about 10%. The final financial ratio we're going to talk about is farm operating income ratio, which compares farm operating income to gross returns. Gross returns would be your grain sales, your change in inventory, as well as government payments and miscellaneous receipts. We'd like to see this at greater than 20%, and we were there 3 of the last 7 years, with 2021 being at 3.6, about the same as it was in 2012 at 33.5. We did have a year in 2015 that was at 1.5, and we've seen a lot of variability in income over those years. Thus, we've seen so much change in where we've been and have that bell-shaped curve that's turned upside down. I'm Brad Zwilling with Illinois Farm Business Farm Management, and I want to thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to find more about these results, please contact your local field staff or visit FBFM.org to find out more about our organization. Also, I'd like to thank the 5,000 farm families that work with FBFM and the 70 professional staff that have made these slides possible. Thank you.